Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. And today I want to talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro because it just got announced. And I have some thoughts about the console. First and foremost, I really struggle to understand who this console is for. I have two major complaints with this console. The first being it only showed off one variation, which looks to be completely digital. There's no disk drive that I can see, at least, unless they've eliminated it, made it really small, but I don't see a disk drive on this one. And it costs $700. This is an absurd amount of money to be spending on a new console, especially a console like the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't think that the PlayStation 5 has been utilized very well. I don't think that they've shown off the technology super well. I don't think they've done a lot to convince us that we need a Pro version, especially at $700. I expected this to be I guess I don't know what I expected this to be at if it was going to be a Pro version. I think with the digital, I assumed it would be a $500 console, and with a disc version, it'd be like a $600. That would make sense to me. That way it'd be $100 up from both. The digital version, a digital-only PlayStation 5 Pro, is $300 more than the PlayStation 5 digital, the base model. That's absolutely out of this world stupid. I cannot even fathom why they're doing this. So that's my biggest gripe, is that this is way too expensive for a console I don't even know if we need. The other thing is that I don't know if I'm in the minority here or not, so I'd love to hear in the comments if you are in this camp. I don't value fidelity nearly as much. I think graphics have been really great for a long time. The PlayStation 3 really started to show us what graphics could do. We could see more hyper-realistic things, and that was an awesome time. PlayStation 4 just built upon that. We got really great looking games. PlayStation 5, clearly things have improved, and I think that's great, but I don't think we need a whole lot more. In fact, I just don't care nearly as much. I'm in the group that they talked about. They said about 75% of players tend to play in performance mode versus fidelity mode because they value the frame rates much more than they value the graphics. And so developers wanted to have an option so they can do both. That's what the PS5 Pro is for people that want to have the graphical fidelity, but also the performance mode as well combined together. And I just don't value fidelity nearly as much. I've played pretty much all of my games on the PlayStation 5 in performance mode. I couldn't tell you a difference. In fact, while I was watching I could tell you a difference in frame rate. I couldn't tell you much difference in graphics. I did Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I changed back and forth between performance and fidelity mode. And honestly, I couldn't tell too much of a difference except for the fidelity mode just wasn't quite as good on the frame rates. So I can't see a visual distinction. In fact, in the presentation I saw, they showed off the difference in fidelity between PlayStation 5 Pro and the PlayStation 5. And I don't know. I wasn't seeing a whole lot of difference there either. I don't see the discernible differences. They're this one looks clearly more choppy. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. The biggest thing I noticed was during they talked about Hogwarts Legacy and they showed off just a little bit of gameplay, and I saw the rolling animation and one of the big enemies coming after them, and it looked really smooth. One of my bigger things that I have noticed playing a game like Hogwarts Legacy or Jedi Fallen Order is that when you roll and stuff, it does feel maybe a little bit choppy. It looked really, really smooth, and I liked seeing that. That was actually a really noticeable thing. That was one of the only things I did notice during the presentation. Everything else, every side-by-side comparison, I'm like, I don't know. That's not worth a several $100 jump for me. I don't know what would prompt me to want to buy this console. Now, again, I'm a physical copy guy, so I have all my games. If I want the PlayStation 5 Pro, for right now, it looks like I have to go all digital, which I do not appreciate at all. So anybody that has a collection of games, screw you. If you want the PlayStation 5 Pro, go rebuy them all digitally. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe they're going to step up and say there is a disc version, and I'll be fine. Maybe you can just use the attachable one. That would make the most sense now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe you can do the buy the attachable drive. But I don't like that either because you have to connect to the internet for that to work for some weird reason. But if that's the case, then ignore my comments about physical media because I love physical media. I'm always going to defend it. So if you can attach the disk drive to the PlayStation 5 Pro, I guess that solves the issue for the most part. So maybe that's the workaround here. But again, for $700 for a digital version, I think is just way too steep. So I have to do $700, and if I don't have the disk drive, I need to buy that as well, which I can't remember how expensive that is. Somewhere under $100, I believe. That's almost $800 worth of tech here that I have to have if I want to play my games with a disc version on the PlayStation 5 Pro. That's way too steep. I can't sell my console right now and get enough money to even get like upwards of half what I need to buy the PlayStation 5 Pro. So I think it's way too expensive. I don't think graphical fidelity is really all that important. I think that there are people that definitely value graphical fidelity. There are people that build high-end PCs so they can see those things. I think that's awesome if you're one of those people. But I think at this price point here, you might as well go try and build a PC. I know you're not going to get something like super crazy for $700, but you can do pretty well, and you could start building towards something that can do some crazy graphical fidelity in the future. I just don't see the value in a $700 digital console right now. It just does not make sense to me in the slightest, especially since, like I said before, PlayStation 5, I don't think they've really achieved as much with that console in terms of graphical fidelity, in terms of showing off the power of the tech. It's an incredibly powerful console, but I'm not seeing a whole lot. What would have really sold this for me on the PlayStation 5 Pro is if they'd show off some new games with it. Maybe some ones like some brand new releases that are going to be showcasing on the PlayStation 5 Pro specifically so we can get excited about it. They only showed games that already exist on the PlayStation 5 Pro, PlayStation 5 that already look good on the console. I don't need a new console to play older games. There's no point in that. I don't understand what they're trying to market here. They needed some killer apps to go with the PlayStation 5 Pro to make it look valuable. I don't care about playing through Ghost of Tsushima or Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart or God of War Ragnarok again. I already played them. There's no reason for me to say, oh, but now it looks a little better and maybe the frame rate's a little better combined. So now I'm going to cough up $700 so I can play these games again. No, give us some killer apps, Sony. Sony is missing the ball here. This is now a tirade here. Sony's missing the ball on new exclusive games. Clearly, Concord was an enormous failure. They don't have anything to show us right now. Everything is just absolutely awful with Sony. I don't know what they're doing. I think this marketing approach is awful. Showcasing a bunch of old games is cool that we can up the resolution, but I need new stuff. You need to sell me on the new console before I have any inclination to buy it. And either give me a disc version or make that disc drive compatible, or else 100% I'm walking away from this. There's no shot. And honestly, I'm not getting a PS5 Pro until they're much cheaper, or I'm just never going to get one at all and I'll wait for the PlayStation 6. Because at this point, I just don't see who this is for. I don't get it. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think, your thoughts on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Do you think we need it? Do you think this is awful? I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.